Welcome to Navigating the Truth, and this week's guest is Dick Larson. Dick joined us for the second half of the show.
Message.
Sit back and enjoy.
Hello? I can't hear you, but you can hear me, right?
We interrupt to bring you this.
We've hijacked your daily dose of regurgitated news to bring you Navigating the Truth. Brace yourself, listeners, as you're about to enter a world where the narrative is no longer masqueraded as the truth. A world where the conspiracies of yesterday's translate into the truths of today.
Are you listening?
The veils covering the truth are lifting, and understandings once suppressed are finally being revealed. Will you be ready? And now, your host and navigator through these circles of lies, the host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Hi, welcome back to Navigating the Truth. This is Caroline Bell Tumblety, and I am your host, and I am thrilled to say Dick Larson has just joined me, and he's going to be with me for the next hour. And I'm going to read a little background on Dick for some of the listeners who are not familiar. Dick has been on Navigating the Truth before, and it is in the archives if anybody wants to go listen. So Dick Larson is a counsellor with a background in education, business and communication. In addition to being a guest on radio talk shows nationwide, he has co-hosted a radio program and produced and hosted a series of public access television shows that air around the nation. Dick served in the U.S. Air Force, was a special education's teacher with the Los Angeles School District, and worked as an international corporate business executive for over 20 years. He then became a chemical dependency therapist and is now at a university in Southern California teaching other adults how to do therapy. Creator of the audio tape series Points to Ponder, Larson is a native of Minnesota, where he obtained a degree in sociology and psychology before duty in the Air Force, ultimately brought him to the Los Angeles area in 1971. Larson's familiarity with the spiritual side of life comes from facilitating adult Christian Bible studies, from his study of the world's major religions, and from the Ageless Wisdom teachings and participation in meditation groups and teaching meditation for many years. In these difficult times, he is very hopeful about our future and tries to help others to see the positive as well. Larson entertains and inspires as he shares his strong conviction that we are now in a very special time of world change, an exciting time, one that marks the beginning of a new era of awareness that will offer tremendous opportunities for personal growth, enlightenment and willing cooperation among all men and women around the world. Who is Maitreya? According to Dick, Maitreya is the awaited by the world's major religions as Christ, Buddha, the Messiah, Iman, Mahdi, Krishna, and the Bodhisattva. This is a monumentous event that will lead to the transformation of the world. Maitreya's message is very simple. We are all brothers, all. And only through the relinquishing of division and competition and the acceptance of sharing can mankind manifest love, compassion, social justice, and brotherhood. Sharing will solve our most pressing problems. It will also create trust between nations and people needed to secure world peace. Maitreya has been giving television interviews around the world for several years. He does not use his real name or make any claims to status. As time goes on, more and more people will become interested in Maitreya's insight and the vast extent of his knowledge of the problems besetting humanity, and start asking who he really is. This will lead to the Day of Decoration, where Maitreya will be invited to address the world. We will see him on our televisions, but he will not speak. Rather, people will hear him inwardly or telepathically. This will be after a predicted collapse of the world's stock exchanges takes place, expected at any time. So welcome, Dick. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I am so sorry I'm late again.
I don't know what's going on. I mean, I hijacked your show twice now, and I just deeply, deeply apologize. I'm so sorry, but I'm happy to be here finally. I'm glad we
Yeah.
connected.
Oh, absolutely. I'm happy you're here. So what's happening in your orbit? What's going on since the
Well, I'll
last
tell
time
you
we
one thing.
talked?
I'm sure glad that I'm not in Minnesota anymore, where you said that I grew up, and I did grow up there.
Mm-hmm.
Man, have they got the snow?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm in Southern California in the Los Angeles area, and boy, I'm loving it here.
Yeah. I hear it's a bit cold, like there.
Oh, it is.
Like,
Well, but
yeah,
cold by our standards. I
yeah.
mean, when it gets down to the 40s at night, that's cold for us.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Now, where
It's
are you? Are you in Las Vegas?
no, I'm in Scotland.
Oh, Scotland. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in Scotland.
Are you cold?
Well, the weather is we've had sunshine, but it's almost like there's a coldness in the air. There's a frost. There's a frost early morning and late at night. So we're not quite out of the winter.
Yeah. A friend of mine called me from Minnesota 2 days ago and said they just got 14 inches of snow in 2 days.
Whoa.
In 2
Whoa.
days, yeah.
That's
So,
incredible.
yeah, my family, my relatives are from Norway.
Hmm.
Yeah, they're from the Oslo area. But anyway, it's great to be on the show. I'm so sorry you had to read that long introduction. That was a real mouthful there. You did well.
It was a good one. I thought it was it's a great introduction.
Yeah, I'm a member volunteer for an organization called Share International, which is a worldwide nonprofit educational organization. And we're, like you said, we're trying to get the word out, and we have been for about 40 years now. I've been doing it about 30 years.
Mm-hmm.
But that Maitreya is in the world, waiting for the best time to come forward, any day now or any year now, and who Maitreya is. You read some of that information. But the first thing I always say to my listeners, if there's any left on your show, and I'm sorry I lost them if I did, is that I don't ask anybody to believe what I say. Please don't believe a thing I say, because that would be blind belief, and I can't recommend that to anybody. Mm-hmm. So I'm not here to convince you or any of your listeners that what I say is true. I'm just here to give my information. Obviously, I think it's true, or I wouldn't be doing this. Right. But I'm more than think, I'm convinced. But I'm not trying to convince anybody else. And the second thing I ask is that your listeners just try to keep an open mind, because some of them are going to hear things they've never heard before, and you just have to crack the window open a little bit and just let some of this information in and see if any of it makes sense to you. Maybe 10 or 20% of it will, and that would be fine with me. So, yeah, so it's great to be on.
Oh, thank you. And I really appreciate you coming and sharing your wisdom and your opinions, it's needed, this is how we learn. This is how we come together. It's needed,
Yes. Well, Benjamin Creme traveled the world. He's actually Scottish, but he was born in Scotland and then moved to London. And he traveled the world for about 40 years, giving out the information about Maitreya and the Masters of Wisdom. They're also called Ascended Masters, for about 40 years. And he would come over to the U.S. He would stop in New York and give a lecture. Then he'd come to Los Angeles and give a lecture. Then he would go to San Francisco and give a lecture. Then he would have a weekend kind of meditation lecture seminar in San Francisco that I would attend with others. And then he would go over to Japan and he'd give a lecture in Tokyo. And he did this around the world for no pay. He was asked to do it, and he did it, and as a volunteer. And then he started a magazine that he was the chief editor for, called Share International Magazine. It's a monthly magazine, no advertising, because he didn't want to feel obligated to anybody. He wanted to be able to tell his truth, And the way that he got his information, this is interesting. He was contacted by one of the senior members of our spiritual kingdom. Now, our spiritual kingdom, of course, has a lot of great people in it, but there are 63 beings called ascended masters or masters of the wisdom. And you and I knew these people when they were alive as Krishna and Buddha and Confucius and Jesus and Mary, the mother of Jesus, is one of the great masters now. Joan of Arc is one of the great masters, and so on. And these 63 senior members of the spiritual kingdom have been the inspiration behind humanity's great movements forward, behind our evolution for eons. And they just serve us. They try to inspire us behind the scenes. They live in the mountain and desert regions of the world. They're not in quote unquote heaven somewhere. They're actually, some are in physical bodies and some aren't. They're just consciousness, in the spiritual universe, and but their consciousness rests in the desert and mountain regions of the world, so they don't have to put up with all the pollution that you and I do.
Right.
And that
Smart.
way they're not interrupted, they're not interfered with, because they don't need to sleep or eat. They work 24 hours a day. And 14 of these great beings are now in physical bodies on our planet in major cities around the world. And 2 of those, there's one out here in California in the mountains. There's one in New York, there's one in London, there's one in Darjeeling, there's one in Tokyo, there's a master in London, master in Rome. The master in London is Maitreya. Now, Maitreya is Sanskrit, and that means the happy one, the one who brings joy. He is the teacher for the age of Aquarius. The teacher for the age of Pisces is living in the outskirts of Rome, and that's Jesus. He's back too. And my understanding, Carolyn, and this comes from Benjamin Creme and his master. Benjamin Creme was in contact with one of the masters whenever he wanted to be. He was taught how to do that telepathically. And his information given out to the world is that Jesus is living on the outskirts of Rome. The Pope and a couple cardinals around him know he's here, but they've been asked not to say anything yet because Jesus doesn't want to come forward until the world teacher for the age of Aquarius does, Maitreya. So, but they're here waiting for the best time to give us advice. See, they can't wave a magic wand and make everything okay because we made the mess. We have to clean it up. Karma. Karma is the law of cause and effect, of course. So since we made the mess, we have to clean it up. They will just advise us how to get life on Earth back on track with the plan. So my information comes mostly from Benjamin Creme, and he's the latest teacher of something called the Ageless Wisdom Teachings. And the teacher before him was a woman named Alice A. Bailey, who wrote about 20 books in the 1930s and 40s. You probably heard of her. Yeah. Well, she's a little challenging to understand in some of her books, whereas Benjamin Creme is very easy to understand. And he's got about 17 books on Amazon. I'm not here to sell books, but if people are curious and want to read more, they can check out his books on Amazon.com. His last name is spelled C-R-E-M-E, Creme. It's pronounced Creme, Benjamin Creme. And so that's what I've been doing, is trying to give out this information that he gave out about Maitreya coming forward anytime now.
Well, I think anytime, like anytime soon would be good. And as you say, it's advice. Like, there's things that we certainly need advice. It's almost like we've forgotten how to do some stuff, like the whole idea of fertilizing our crops. Like, we started to rely on like chemicals and pesticides, whereas seaweed, like readily available, is actually a great fertilizer. It's almost like we've forgotten stuff, and we need advice on remembering how to do this efficiently.
Maitreya said that the biggest problem for humanity right now, and you hit it right on the head, he said, we have forgotten who we are. We have forgotten that we're not humans having spiritual experiences, we're spirits having a human experience, and that we should act like who we are, which is a living soul,
Yeah.
and we have forgotten about that.
Hmm.
And so he says once he comes to remind us, once he reminds us that we are living spirits, living souls in a physical body for this particular lifetime, that we have a better chance of starting to act like a soul,
Yeah.
and try to start doing God's will. The Buddha taught the wisdom of God. Jesus taught the love of God. Maitreya comes to teach us God's will and the purpose behind that will. So we're going to finally find out why we're here.
That would be
Humanity's
good.
been trying to figure out for eons why we're on the planet, and now we're going to finally be told what our purpose is here and what God's plan is. We try to do the will of God, but we're not quite sure what it is all the time. He comes to inform us about that. It's a great time to be alive.
Yeah. Oh, it's definitely like I never seen any of this coming. It's definitely, I don't think this particular time will ever be repeated again. I think this is a one-time event that's happening.
You're absolutely right, because, well, like let's take COVID, the pandemic, for example,
Hmm.
which is still going pretty strong in the US. I don't know about where you are, but in the US, it's still going pretty strong. Although people have gotten tired of wearing masks and don't wear them much anymore. COVID is, it's darkest before the dawn.
Hmm.
And COVID is part of that. COVID is part of this problem that we have set up on ourselves. And I mean, the masters don't make us have plagues and stuff. We do it to ourselves. And now that we've had COVID, it's kind of like, I feel like we're burning up karma so that we can have this great future that Maitreya has promised us.
Mm.
And that we needed to burn
different countries, but that's no the case anymore. Like the whole world got locked down 2 years or
exactly.
you
That's
know
exactly right.
yeah, so it's a bit different. It's a lot different. And
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
supposed to wake us up to that fact. Just
Hmm.
exactly what you just said is that something happens in the world now, it can affect the whole world. And
Hmm.
we need to jump in and start helping each other more.
Yeah.
We're not doing a very good job of that. And so you're right. Each nation is important. Benjamin Kraft's master shared the future of the world isn't going to be a one world government. It's going to be individual nations talking to each other and settling their disagreements by talking amongst themselves, and mainly at the UN General Assembly. And
Hmm.
that the Security Council will be thrown out because they can veto anything that the world government agrees on. And that's
Right.
not right.
No, it's not
That's
right.
That's the bad part of the United Nations. The good part is the General Assembly, where every nation is represented and can talk to each other and work out their problems. And that's the destiny for humanity, not this separation that you've been talking about.
No, yeah, I agree with you. I don't like the separation and the division. You know, we share this world together, and I like the idea individual nations. You know, I do like that. I think we can learn from each other. Like
Yes.
it's not just our differences. We can actually learn from each other.
The ageless wisdom says that not only do people have separate personalities, but nations have separate personalities. And that each personality, each nation contributes to the whole. And so we need the different countries.
Yes.
In order to have the world work like the plan says it will. And so Aquarian energy only supports group action, not individuals. So all these
numbered copy, making it a treasured collector's piece, as well as a 15% discount. The knowledge and connection to spirit that comes with this will be truly life-changing. The Voice of Spirit, Leslie Flint recordings and transcripts by Leo Bonomo will be the most sensational book and set of recordings you'll ever own. To read stunning reviews of this book from some of the top spiritualists from around the world, as well as to order, go to www.leo-bonomo.com. That's leo-bonomo.com. Pick up your copy today.
It's great. I think it's great. It's great.
The all-new KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Great.
Make a note of it.
It's great.
Welcome, Weirdos. I'm Darren Marlar from Weird Darkness. Join me every Tuesday at 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern for 2 full hours of the paranormal, unexplained, and more. Coming up this Tuesday, Edward Mordrake had an evil face growing on the back of his head that would talk to him. Canada has one of the darkest Wendigo stories ever told. What would happen during an alien invasion? And more. That's this Tuesday, 8 p.m. Pacific, 11 p.m. Eastern on Weird Darkness Radio at KCORradio.com.
This is Ian Finch. Join me on Wednesday evening between 6 and 8 for the Ultimate Chart Show. 2 hours of the finest music brought to you direct from the UK, plus our weekly Ultimate Top 10 Countdown, which you can vote for by visiting ianfinch.tv/chart and choosing your favourites. The Ultimate Chart Show at 6 Pacific and 9 Eastern, Wednesdays on KCOR.
Woven throughout the universe are keys to a hidden message, awaiting a voice that can decipher their coded meaning, a cosmic connection to the cosmos. Tune in to the KCOR Digital Radio Network at 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern for Cosmic Connection. Cosmic Connection. Cosmic Connection. Cosmic Connection with astrologers Caroline Lynch and Merlin Wizard. Your weekly astrology reading is but a phone call away. So call Cosmic Connection Sunday, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, and get your free reading today. Cosmic Connection with Caroline Lynch and Merlin Wizard, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
This is KCOR Radio, coming to you live from Las Vegas.
Going live in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back to Navigating the Truth, the one show that peels back the masks of the elite and exposes the truth we're not being told.
Here to warn you.
You must not abuse the power you've been given. Eventually, you will lose control of that power and the whole world will suffer.
Come partake in the awakening by calling the show at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230.
Give us a call now.
Those around the world, connect with us on Skype at KCOR Radio. Follow us on Twitter at KCOR Radio or use hashtag KCOR. Come engage in the discussion live in our chat room at www.kcorradio.com.
Our survival depends upon it.
Now, back to examining the narratives and uncovering the truth with your host of Navigating the Truth, Caroline Bell Tumblety. Caroline Bell Tumblety.
Hi, welcome back to Navigating the Truth, and I am Caroline Bell Tumblety, your host. And I want to thank Tina Marie, our producer, CEO, and owner of KCOR Digital Radio. I want to thank her for joining me in the first half of the show, and a big thank you for everything she does. And back to my wonderful guest, Dick Larson. And during the break, we were having a conversation about people are seeing the Ascended Masters, Maitreya, Jesus, Mother Mary, and we would like to talk about that. So, Dick, your thoughts?
Well, first of all, I must say you read my mind, because if you hadn't said it, I was going to say it. You are so fortunate to have Tina as a producer for your show. She is by far the best I have ever come across in all my interviews. And I've been doing interviews for almost 20 years. So, I mean, she is a wonder, and she keeps us so informed of the timing and everything else. she's just a delight, and you're really lucky to have her.
Oh yeah, I know I am.
Now,
She's
about the
best.
masters, I want to say
Yeah.
one more thing before we do that,
Mhm.
and that is about the ages. You know, this isn't astrology that's in the newspapers and magazines for entertainment. We're talking about astronomy, the movement of heavenly bodies throughout cosmos. When we talk about the ages, the astronomers have a different name for it. They call it the precession of the equinox, but it's the same thing. And what it means, Caroline, is that our planet lines up with each of the 12 constellations that we're surrounded by, these huge, powerful heavenly bodies. We line up with one of them at a time. And when we line up and come into alignment with that constellation, we receive its energies, and those energies help evolution on this planet proceed for all the life forms, mineral, plant, animal, and human. And when we're in alignment with one of these constellations, we say we are in the age of whatever that constellation is. And obviously, for the last 2,000 years, we've been in alignment with and in the age of Pisces. And the great teacher who came to bring the message that God is love, of God's love, was Jesus. Now, I grew up in church reading the Christian Bible and so on. And of course, in the Christian Bible, there's all these analogies to fish. I'll make you fishers of men. He fed the crowd with fish. Jesus knew the symbol for Pisces was the fish, and he knew he was the teacher for this age. Now we've moved out. We're moving into alignment with the next constellation. It goes backwards from normal astrology. We're coming into alignment with Aquarius, and that means the Piscean energies are leaving us slowly but surely. Like I said, in 1625, they started receding. 1625, Aquarian energy started pouring in. Here's the problem, and you were saying nothing works anymore, Caroline. That's because all the major institutions that humanity has right now were built with Piscean energy. Our educational system, our finance system, our healthcare system, our government, and so on and so on, even the religions, so on. We're all built with Piscean energy, which is being withdrawn. So all these great institutions can do now is collapse. No matter how much money we throw at them to try to fix them, they're collapsing. They're not working anymore. They served humanity, and now they're not working anymore. And we need to rebuild them, recreate them with the cooperative energies of Aquarius. And when we do that, those institutions will serve humanity for another 2,000 years. But that's the problem right now with everything not working on this planet, is that the energy is being withdrawn and there's nothing to keep them working anymore. They're just skeletons. The energy, they've crystallized and they're crumbling, you know? So that's the problem with things not working. And once somebody told me that, Benjamin Crumb told me that, and once he told me that, it just made so much sense to me. I mean, I just went, yeah, that's got to be it.
Yeah. One age is ending and another one is beginning. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Bingo.
Yep.
That's right. So now we're getting the teacher for the age of Aquarius. He's in a physical body. He made his own body, and it's a physical body. He can walk right up to you and shake your hand, just like a normal man. He's a man, about 6'3", according to Benjamin Crumb, and he can live amongst us. He doesn't need to eat or sleep, but he might eat a salad or something just to be polite, you know. But he is here. His home base is London. Now the masters, because they are consciousness, they're called masters, by the way, not because they're masters over us. They're masters for themselves and over the science of our planet. So they're not subject to gravity or any of that kind of stuff like we are. So they control the energies and work with the energies of our planet and our solar system and our galaxy, the Milky Way galaxy. So they work with all these energies to try and help God's plan work on Earth. Now, if you don't believe in God, that's fine. You can just say the spiritual plan or the plan of the universe or whatever. And so that's what they do. Now, they can appear and disappear at will because they are masters of these energies on our planet. They can appear, Maitreya can appear in 42 places at once and be just as physical in every place, shake your hand, and so on, and appear to you. And they can appear any way they want to. They can appear as a child or an elderly person or a mature adult. They can appear as any race they want to. They can appear as male or female, any way they want to. And they've been doing that, Caroline. They've been appearing to people as ordinary people for about the last 25 years, according to the reports from Benjamin Creme in Share International Magazine, which people can order online if they want to. It's very affordable and it's beautiful. High quality paper, glossy page. Every page is a glossy. There's no advertising. It's all about Maitreya and the Masters and what's going on right now. And it includes letters from readers with answers. It's very cool. So
what's the web address for that? Is it share-international.org?
Share-international.org, correct.
Yeah. Everybody, the listeners, you should go look at that. It's go read it.
Well, yeah, you can order it. And like I said, we try to keep it affordable. We're really selling it at cost. Just to get people informed about what's going on. There's beautiful pictures of miracles because the Masters have been performing amazing miracles for the last, I would say about the same time, the last 25 to 30 years. And I've been fortunate enough to experience some of these. Now, the Masters have been appearing to people as ordinary people to inspire us. Sometimes they appear to teach a lesson too. And these are usually very brief appearances. But if somebody thinks they had an experience of one of the Masters, they write a letter in to Benjamin Creme. Now, Benjamin Creme passed away about a few years.
Thank you for listening to Navigating the Truth on KCRradio.com. This week's guest was Dick Larson, and Dick joined me for the second half of the show. If you would like to listen to the show in its entirety, please go to KCRradio.com, and I'll see you next week.